aspiring entrepreneur, if you need someone else to encourage you, don't start. Seriously, don't start. So many hard obstacles. It will always be like, someone else asked me to start this, then now what? For the one who already started, understand the difference between hustle hard and hustle smart. There's a huge difference.
Good morning or evening, everyone, wherever you're watching this podcast or listening this podcast from. My name is Richard Kerr. So today I'm going to run this podcast session with a special guest. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship and things like that. So basically the series of this podcast is called Stories of Somebody, because I believe everyone has a story to tell. And this story, I believe it would impact people around them, the community, the society, economy maybe, and even humanity. So hopefully today's session we'll be able to learn a couple of things, whatever you want to do in life, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's for your career, it would help you get some ideas on how can you progress to the next step. So today I've invited a special guest. Her name is Sasha Tan. She is a serial entrepreneur who runs multiple businesses and have been successful in a lot of her ventures. So with that, I'm going to welcome Sasha Tan to the show.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming all the way. It's like it's a Monday morning.
Yes.
So we're just going to make this conversation cool and easy. So maybe to begin with, maybe you just want to do a bit of introduction about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Sasha. In terms of career-wise, I have been building a lot of startups, most of them from scratch. So as like founders or as like co-founders or as founding team members. So I really enjoy the 0 to 1 process. That's what I've been through as well for the past decades. So right now, I'm just helping startups to outshine competition through like high conversion positioning strategy at my new initiative called Dear Hustlers.
Dear Hustlers. Wow.
Yes.
Very cool name.
I also recently ventured from tech now into FMCG.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a cereal brand called Seriously.
Seriously, yes. I saw that actually. I saw that in one of the shelves.
Yeah.
Okay. And anything else that you're doing special?
No, just living life.
Living life. Okay. So I get to know you like a couple of years ago, right? I remember maybe it's like 6 or 7 years ago. I think probably that was the first time that I interacted with you. I remember I was still working with Magic back then.
Oh,
and I was
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a long time. I was creating these posts. As you know, I create a lot of content. Right?
Oh, I remember now.
Yes. So that was my first encounter with you. I remember messaging you, said, can I ask like a short quote from you?
Yeah. I remember that.
So basically, I remember that. So it has been quite a while.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happening. Yeah, so what actually inspired you to start your own business? Like, is this something that you've been thought of from the beginning since you were a kid? Is this something that you have been doing?
I started my first business back in 21 years old in Singapore.
Singapore, okay.
Yeah. So, if I reflect back, I think I kind of like went through stages. So basically, I kind of like start with like being impulsive, right? I was like, hey, I really want to do this. Let's do it. So I started with that. And then it became more of like visionary. So I stepped into the visionary stage where, hey, I really want to see particular things happen, right? But nobody is doing it.
Okay.
Let's do it. And then now I step into my practitioner stage where I'll be like, hey, I think I spotted a market, market opportunity. Let me find an edge, let me find an advantage and then do it. So I don't think it was always like one reason that I start business. And, throughout the entrepreneur journey, I kind of like went through stage. So I think like, you know, in the beginning, you just need to kind of like push yourself to do it, right?
Yes.
So it was purely impulsive, like, oh, I just want to do it. And then once you know that, hey, actually you can do it. And then you became like, oh, I want to do something great. So you became like visionary. And then once you've been through all that, and then you'll be like, okay, business is all about making money.
Yes, of course. It
and
is.
then it becomes much more practical. So yeah.
I always talk about having a why.
Yeah.
Right. I think even when I train people, speak to entrepreneurs as well, they need to know the big why.
Yeah.
What is your big why?
Honestly, I don't have a big why. I have more why nots.
Okay. Somewhat quite similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm kind of like in the practitioner stage where it's very practical. Like I feel like this is the gap that I can fill, and then I can find an advantage that I can win. So it's very boring. I mean, if it's not towards media, then it's pretty boring reason usually. It's like, oh, I want a high retention business, and you know, I feel like this industry is something that, you know, is uprising and things like that. So actually, to be very honest, it's very boring when you are at your practitioner stage. So there wasn't like a big why, more of like, why not?
Okay.
Like, hey, why not I do this? Why not I make this thing better in this situations, or why not I make a better solutions on this thing? Yeah,
it's quite interesting when you mentioned that you're going to FMCG, right?
Yeah.
Like how did that transition happen? Is it something that you always want to go into this? Or?
Yeah, so when I was running my tech startup, which I exited last year, it was 7 years of like sole founding startup. So in the beginning I was thinking like, oh, so visionary, right? I want to do something that's great. I want to help people make informed purchase decisions when it comes to their skins, their body. And then when I went into it, and I realized like the whole 7 years really taught me so much. And the best thing that it taught me is that I'm not a restaurant owner.
You're not a restaurant owner.
I'm a chef.
Okay.
And the difference is restaurant owner is like, chef is domain expert, right? So you're really passionate about doing something and you're good at it. You have skills, you have craft. And then there's another one, which is restaurant owner, which is the management, you know, like the corporate structures, the whole, you know, managing the business. And I realized, even though I can be that, but I really enjoy being a chef.
Yeah.
So basically, I just love creating stuff from scratch, and I love seeing it win in the market, and I just enjoy that part very much. But when it comes to like restaurant owner, of course, then it's about HR, it's about fundraising, it's about a lot of things that is not actually cooking.
So you like the cooking part.
I realized
putting
that
all the ingredients together, right?
Correct. I think it's very hard for entrepreneur to kind of like know that about themselves, because there's so many like gurus out there just say like, oh, just do it, just go and start a business. But when you are a domain expert, the business that you start should be very different. It could be like a solo entrepreneurship where you utilize your skills to do something, or like you build something that's nice and then you make it like a, you know, kind of like a pet project or stuff like that. It doesn't mean that you have to start like a big ventures to be able to call yourself successful.
Correct.
So yeah, I think that was a really, really big things for me. Like I just, well, put all the ego aside. I'm just a chef. Let me cook good food for other people's, and maybe I can cook good food for a restaurant owner that wants good food in their restaurant. So that's why I started Dear Hustler. Yeah, where I basically, I know how to build right, and I know how to win efficiently, even though you don't have like big budgets or like big resources. So I basically want to use that to help like founders that also want to do the same thing. And in that process, I actually enjoy what I do, but also I help other people do what they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was like a really big things that I realized from the journey.
I talk to people quite a lot as well, right? I think one of the biggest things that I think people tend to miss is self-awareness. What do you think about self-awareness being an entrepreneur?
Wow, so important. So important. I have seen, because I'm in this journey for quite a long time as well, even though I'm forever 22.
Yes, still not 22.
But yeah, I met a lot of founders, a lot of like business owner. I think a common pitfall is they kind of like, after they went into the journey, and then they just kind of like built a prison around them, saying that, hey, this is it already. Like, this is where I need to excel. This is where, all the things has to happen this way. And regardless of what is going on within them, around them. So I think if you don't have that self-awareness, you're gonna be struggling to enjoy the journey as well. So I think that's really, really important, right? To be able to enjoy the journey. Like when you don't enjoy it and you are still really, really pushing it through for God knows how long. Like maybe another 10 years, maybe another 20 years, you never know.
That's right.
But if you don't have a self-awareness and you just kind of like, oh, this is the prison that I built. Like I have to do this, I can't fail. And like other people, cannot see me not doing this, I'm already kind of like the go-to person for this and things like that. And all of that are just...
That's up.
Yeah, so then it became so hard to channel into the self-awareness, I think. So I think self-awareness is really about just acknowledging your ego.
Yes, totally.
And then, that's really the first step. And then everything else will follow, because if you don't acknowledge your ego, you just think that everything has to flow a certain way.
Yes, true.
And yeah, it's gonna be really hard for the entrepreneurial journey. Yeah.
Agree. Because even for me, right, it's also about learning, right? I think about entrepreneurship, it's learning every day, because we need to have that humility, basically.
Yeah, correct. Especially towards yourself.
Yes.
Because if you don't address that ego, then you will not know, okay, what are you the best at?
Yeah.
And then if you are not at the best at that, then you go and find resources, and it's fine. It doesn't mean that you're weak, right? Or like sometimes when there's like a dead end, it's okay to give out and then go to the other end. And
basically, that's not a dead end, right? It's just a matter of
alternate
finding. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So, what do you think are some of your biggest challenges, right, when starting your business, for example, and how were you able to overcome most of them?
If I really look back, I think at that time when the challenge comes, it always feels kind of like equal with the other challenge, or if not, it's bigger than the other challenge that I just kind of like went through. So now that I look back, I don't have any like specific like, wow, it was so big of a challenge that I remember it forever, because every single day you wake up, it's like either end of the world or either top of the world.
Yes.
So every single day there is like new challenges.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have like a specific big challenges that I can remember. I just remember there were so many.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
I think it's like playing video games, right? I know I grew up playing video games.
Yeah.
Did you?
No,
okay. But anyway, it's like, in any case, like playing video games is normally you level up, right? Every time you beat the big boss, you'll go to the next level. So I think that's how entrepreneurs grow, basically, right? Yeah. Every time when they go through series of challenges. All right, Sasha, since just now you mentioned there were not really a big challenge, right? But perhaps there were some pivotal moments or some decisions that you have made that significantly impacted the success of your business or your venture? Maybe you want to share with.
Yeah. When I first started my last tech company, I was very blessed. So I got like funding before I even have like product. And then 6 months after, we raised another round. So it's like in 6 months, we raised 2 rounds.
Two rounds. Wow.
Yeah, basically, that was a great success. So, and then what happened is that before that startup, I was in like very well-funded startup as well. So I kind of like had the mindset of, hey, go big or go home, right? So I went into the startup thinking the same mindset, and it was quite, it was like reality hit.
Okay.
Because in the beginning, since I got like the funding, I was thinking, hey, maybe I should like expand quick, and then we accumulate the top line numbers, and then we will figure out monetization later, which is what was happening in the tech startup scenes a lot back in the days, right? So in the beginning, I kind of like opened up 3 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, Malaysia, Thailand, I think Singapore. Yeah. So then like 3 countries all at once. We hired like a lot of like, like the management persons from like really good company like Zalora and Rocket Internet and things like that. Super expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So basically, I was bleeding out a lot of money, and then thinking that it will eventually works, right? Yeah, and then to a point where I really don't know how to guide the team into making neither moving progress anymore, because we were just bleeding left, right, up, down, right? So I decided to just kind of like cut down the whole thing. And I basically like fired the whole 3 countries all on the same day.
Okay, must be tough.
Yeah, like people crying and I cry and stuff like that. But it was very necessary because I couldn't just keep them there when I figure it out.
Yeah.
And I also can't depend on them figure it out because that was what I was doing.
Right.
So it's either I keep them there to wait for me, or I just let everyone go with like, good salary pay and then find your new opportunity. And then I just kind of like scale down and really figure things out.
Right.
So I was lucky that I still managed to kind of like cut the losses when I still have money. So then after that, just kind of like try to restructure the whole thing, try to find a product market fit, try to monetize. And I think within like 24 months, we got like profitable, and then have been profitable ever since then. So it was a pivotal moment to me because it made me realize that it's not that you try harder, you will figure it out. And also having money early and spending money early, it's not usually the right thing to do. So basically you need to kind of like find your clarity before you attack. So that was a very pivotal to me, and I kind of like carry that mental model until now.
Nice.
Yeah, even to like my other businesses, I want to make sure that we really spend time trying to find out the product market fit before we even spend the money to scale it. Yeah.
You mentioned about clarity. I think clarity is also very important. I think for a lot of people, right, they lack clarity in many things, especially people who go to work every day. Sometimes they just do things without having a clear picture in mind. How do you think people can get better clarity of things that they want to do in life?
I have this concept. Basically, when you are looking at something very closely, right, you usually see it blur.
Yeah.
And it's when you take a step back, then only you can see it clearly. And in order to do that, of course, first you need to kind of like take yourself out of the situation, out of your vested interest, as a founder or as a manager or as an investor. And then if you can't do that, then you have to have someone who walk your path to help you do that. Because that person has seen it and
Done it.
Yeah, done it, and then he's seeing it from the other perspective. So he's not as, he doesn't have the blurry vision as you, because you're so drilled down to the day-to-day things.
The operations.
And everything you see so up close is blur.
So we just discussed about some of the pivotal moments that you had before, right? So I guess, especially when you mentioned about the need for you to let go of people, could be a very stressful moment. So how do you handle pressure and stress? I think it's much relevant to many people today. So how would you do from your own way or perspective?
I kind of learned to just surrender to the whole process. Basically, the reason why you feel stressed or like overwhelmed is because you lack coping mechanism. Okay. So when you don't have that, then you have all these kind of emotion, right? So basically, I just kind of like acknowledge that, and whenever I feel stressed or overwhelmed, or I'll just go out and kind of like either find my clarity or either equip myself with like the right mental models or the right system, because once I have the mechanism, I know how to handle the things that's causing me stress. Then I'll be able to get through it. I think a lot of times, like when you feel stressed and people say like, oh, just rest. it didn't work for me, because when you rest, you are basically not solving the root cause yet.
Yes, correct.
You are just letting it slide for now. So every single time people say like, oh, why you break up, you recover so fast, or like, wow, didn't you just like fire someone else? Why are you all the way like pushing through already and things like that? Are you sure you're digesting it right? I always tell them, actually I've done all my homework, because I have like questions that I ask myself about closure of this, or like clarity on the next steps. And if I don't have that, I'll make sure that I always go out and find people who can help me, or people who will be able to get me resources that help me. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that yes, you can feel stress, but stress is a reflection of you not being able to cope with something. So you need to, in order to kind of like get through that, you need to kind of like get that mechanism. But if it's something that you really have no control over, like a lot of times something just like really can't control, the person wants to leave, or the economy is just not in your favor, all these things you can't really control, and we'll just like surrender lah. Because to be honest, like especially entrepreneurship is just a gamble. Like you bet with everything that you have, and you have no control over the outcome. The only thing that you can do is yourself. Like the only thing that you can control is yourself. So either you make sure that you improve your betting skill or your betting mindset. That's the only thing that you can do. The rest, there's nothing you can do. You just surrender.
Interesting what you said about betting skill and betting mindset. How do you cultivate that?
Either you make so many mistakes
right,
that you learn it, or you really need to get someone else to guide you on that, or save you time. That's why I think like mentor or like asking for help is so important, especially at this like this season where ChatGPT, everything is like so readily there for you to use. You can connect with anyone at all.
So easy, right?
So easy, and you can actually come up with anything at all, as long as you know the prompts, So the resources are there, and if you still don't go out and just like use it, and you want to use your own time and money to kind of like get it, it's a choice. It's not a reality. It's your choice.
True. Which is true today, right? If you think about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was so easy. It was so hard, difficult to get access to information. It's so hard to network with people.
Yeah.
But today it's like, it's really up to you whether you want to do it or not. Right? Okay. So then another question that I want to ask you, right? Because especially when we're talking about the topics of entrepreneurship, how would you advise for aspiring entrepreneurs who are keen to start their journey? Because I think everyone's want to be an entrepreneur today. I think a lot of people want to be. And how would you advise them?
Okay, want to be, right? Want to be,
want to
or
be.
already
They are aspiring
in the journey?
entrepreneurs. Aspiring entrepreneurs. Oh, it could be both.
For the want to be one, you know, in the old days, I usually would tell people like, hey, you should do it. But at this point, I don't usually encourage people.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, like going into entrepreneurship is like huge decision.
Yes, correct.
It's like you wanting a kid. That is your decision. I shouldn't push you into it because the commitment that you're gonna make is you and you alone.
Yeah.
So that's why right now, like a lot of time, people say, hey, Sasha, why don't you go out and empower women to start businesses? I'll be like, oh my God, I wouldn't want to do that because I'm happy to help those women who already want to or already started, help them be better or help them hustle lesser or hustle smarter. But I wouldn't want to push them into a journey that they didn't know what is it about, or like they haven't even done their own internal homework that they are ready for this.
Yes.
So I think for aspiring entrepreneur, if you need someone else to encourage you, don't start. Seriously, don't start.
Yeah.
It's so hard. So many hard obstacles in front of you. If someone else asks you to start, then you will not have the mindset that you're ready to face all those obstacles.
Yes.
It will always be like, well, now what? Someone else asked me to start this, then now what?
Yeah.
Now this problem, should I blame the other person who asked me to start? So I wouldn't encourage you to start if you need someone else to encourage you. So it's for your own good lah. Okay, it's not because I want to shoot you down. But for the one who already started, I would really, really recommend them to really understand the difference between hustle hard and hustle smart. There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because even you try very hard, doesn't mean that you will get result. So if you can, you should find clarity, find the systems that can help you not to try so hard.
Okay.
Yeah, that will really make your journey so much better.
And I like the part where you mentioned about having the right mindset, right? I think mindset is everything. So that's why even on my social media platforms, I always talk about mindset. Because if you don't have the right mindset, you can't really go forward.
Yeah.
I think that's applicable to all things, right?
Correct.
It's not just entrepreneurship. I think everything in life, you need to have the right mindset. Wow. Okay. All right, Sasha. I think we've managed to cover a lot of different topics related to entrepreneurship mainly, but I'm really glad that you were able to share some of your experiences and stories with the audiences. Hopefully we could do another session, maybe a longer session, because we can really talk about this, right? So hopefully we'll be able to arrange something in the future. But to those people who are seeking to find out more about what you do, how can they reach out to you? Or can they find you online? Or
yeah, they can find me at Dear Hustlers, dear.hustlers on Instagram, or just Sasha Tan on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to even maybe seek out to your services maybe as well.
Yeah, so basically right now, like 2 months ago, I started to kind of like help founders. Yeah, now we already help over like 10 startups.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite exciting. I'm very, very excited about it. So yeah, right now I'm basically help like startup founder, startup brands to kind of help them equip with like high conversion positioning strategy so that they can outshine competitions efficiently.
Yes.
No need to waste so much time, so much money.
And they can
hustle smart
Smart.
instead
And
of hustle hard.
leverage on your experiences,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Okay, that's great. Yep. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Hopefully, as I said, we'll be able to arrange another session and talk more about other topics as well. You're open to that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much
So,
for having me.
Thank you, Sasha, and hopefully,
fun.
Yep, it was fun. Hopefully, we get to meet again very soon.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks, everyone. So, we'll see you in the next session of this podcast, Stories of Somebody.